a podcast.
Diving deep into all things Texans, both on and off the field. Here's Sean Pendergast and Pro Football Hall of Famer, the General, John McClain. Welcome to Houtopia.
All right, John. We love doing general news and notes before we get to the mailbag. We do general news and notes on a Tuesday edition of the podcast here. So what do you got for us, John?
Texans are 3-1 over their last 4 games, and they're 3-3 for the first time since 2019 when they won their last AFC South title, beat Buffalo in the wild card game before spitting the bit in Kansas City. So the key is that team went 10-6. Does this team have a chance to go 10-6? And I went back over the schedule, and I can find 10 wins on that schedule. What do you think?
Okay, well, let's do this. I like this. Hang on a second. Let me pull the schedule up here. Let's do this exercise because you and I do this before the season, John. So I like this that we're doing it now with 3 wins already, 3 wins already in the books. And a lot more intel on what this team actually is and may be. And obviously, you and I we're assuming health for C.J. Stroud in any sort of analysis like this, right, John? I know I am.
Absolutely, you have to.
Yeah, you got to. All right, so let's play this game. I'm going to let you do the honors, John. I'm going to read the games here, and you tell me, in the eyes of the general, where does this team wind up? They're, excuse me, 3-3 right now. At Carolina.
I think they'll win that one, be 4-3.
Home for Tampa Bay.
Victory, 5-3.
5-3. And then at Cincinnati.
Loss, 5-4.
You've already spoken on that. You've guaranteed a loss in that game, John, in the previous episode of the podcast. Hey, John, can I tell you something about that game real quick?
Sure.
We hit pause, 5-4 at Cincinnati. Let me see if this changes your mind at all, okay, about that Cincinnati game. Does it change your mind at all, John, that the Bengals are also on a bye this week? So they've got the same flow of the schedule as the Texans here. So they're going to be 3-3 coming out of the bye week. Does it change your handicap on that game at all, John, that the Bengals' first 2 games out of the bye are at San Francisco and then home for Buffalo? Then they play the Texans prior to traveling to Baltimore and hosting the Steelers. Ooh. So on the front end, of the Texans, you're playing 2 of the, I would say, 5 best teams in football, maybe 6 best teams, San Francisco and Buffalo. And then on the back end of the Texans, you're playing 2 division games, including a road game at Baltimore the very next week. I don't know, John. That's got a chance for me to be like the Texans being dropped into that mix, even though they might be 5-3 at that point. Sure does feel like one of these things is not like the other if we're Cincinnati, especially with at Baltimore sitting the following week. That's got look ahead written all over it to me.
It does, and they could be beaten up physically, but as long as Joe Burrow's healthy with all those weapons he's got, I'm picking them over the Texans.
Okay, but are you still guaranteeing it though, John?
Sure.
Okay. All right, so 5-4. Then they've got 3 in a row at home, John. Home for Arizona.
Victory.
Home for Jacksonville.
Now, boy, that November 26th game could be big, big, big.
Texans would be 6-4 in the McClain book at that point.
They own the Jaguars in Jacksonville, and I'm going to say that Jaguars is going to win that game, and that'll make them 6-5.
Home for Denver.
Victory.
At New York, the Jets.
Boy,
we've been plucky the last couple of weeks.
Watching the Jets, I've had that as a loss all along because Aaron Rodgers, but watching the Jets defense and the running game, and if Zach Wilson just doesn't beat them, I'm going to say they're going to lose to the Jets.
Okay, so 7-6 at Tennessee.
They're going to split with them, and they've been winning at Tennessee, and the Titans got big-time problems. They're going to win that one.
They'll win that one. Okay, so you're going to – because they play Tennessee again at home 2 weeks after that.
Yeah,
so
when they see those Columbia blue, they're going to see red.
Okay, but that means they lose at home to Tennessee a little later.
Right.
Okay, so you think they split those 2 Tennessee – in between they play Cleveland at home.
I'm assuming Deshaun Watson's going to be back, and Cleveland also has a great defense. And Cleveland won here last year, but boy, I'm going to say they're going to lose here to Cleveland again.
7-6 at Tennessee.
Cleveland won here last year, but boy, I'm going to say they're going to lose here to Cleveland again. 7-6 at Tennessee. 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 7-
Okay, so you've got okay. So let me make sure I'm counting this right. So they were 5-4 after Cincy, 6-4 Arizona, 6-5 Jacksonville, 7-5 Denver. You have them losing to the Jets. You said right, John?
Right.
7-6.
7-7.
So you got them 7-6 and 7-7, and then you got them losing to Cleveland would be 7-8, and then you've got them beating Tennessee. You got them winning one of those two Tennessee games, 8-8, going to Indianapolis in the final game of the year.
And they'll win that one, finish 9-8.
9-8.
Could they win 10? Sure, they could win 10 games. But those when they're playing the Jets and the Browns and their defenses are great right now, I think it's the great defense that'll give them more problems than a great offense, because this defense has shown it can play well when it has to. And I just, how many great offenses are they going to play? Maybe the Bengals if they're healthy, and that's it.
I think you're giving Tennessee way too much credit. I think Tennessee by the
Well,
end
that's
of the year,
about
John.
Mike Vrabel. That's just, I think Vrabel is such a good coach. They'll find a way to win. And I got a great stat about Derrick Henry and their offense in it coming up in a minute.
Okay, sounds good. So 9-8. That's where I've recount. I haven't gone through game by game like you just did. It just feels like a 9-8 football team right now. They still got too many issues, John. They're not. I don't know if you have any of these in your news and notes. If you do, I'm hijacking them, but it'll give us a chance to talk. I don't know if you've seen this, but like they're 26th in the red zone, they're 30th in yards per carry, and they're 30th in sacks on defense. Like they're at or near the bottom of the league in some really important metrics, which makes their 3-3 record right now all the more amazing. Like if somebody had told me back in July at training camp, like the first week of training camp, where we're watching CJ Stroud look like a rookie, if someone had said, hey, guess what, at the bye week, they're going to stink in the red zone, they're going to stink in the run game, and they're not going to be able to get the quarterback on the ground defensively, what do you think their record is? And I'm watching I'm watching CJ Stroud out here holding the ball way too long in 11-on-11 drills that have been like, 1-5. Yeah, they'll win one of those games against one of those crap teams that they're playing, but that's it. And they're 3-3, and they're 3-1 in their last 4, which is the big thing for me. I love looking at it in 4-week windows like that. Like they're in the last 4 weeks, they're one of the like it's an understatement to say they're one of the better teams in football the last 4 weeks. Like the last 4 weeks, they are a very, very good football team. And
they're one of only 2 teams in the NFL that hadn't allowed a 4th down conversion. Next one, betonline.com, which we both get every week.
Yep.
CJ Stroud, they said, strengthened his hold on offensive rookie of the year.
Yes.
And D'Amico, this is interesting. When D'Amico on March the 21st, D'Amico, the odds of being coach of the year were 20-1. Mm-hmm. When he started 0-2, the odds were 40-1. Mm-hmm. And now he is number 3 at 7-1 behind Dan Campbell and Mike McDaniel.
Who would you vote for of those 3, John?
Dan Campbell.
You would?
Dan Campbell. I think right now, the Lions are the most complete team in the NFL. I've got another note coming up on them, several notes coming up on them, but I think they're the most complete team. They're on a roll offensively and defensively. And I think after watching Philadelphia get beat by the Jets and then the 49ers lose to P.J. Walker, I think it won't surprise me at all if Detroit doesn't end up with the best record, especially playing in a dog division.
Well, give me some of this Detroit, John, that you're promising me. Come on, give it to me. Give it to me, Detroit Lion drug dealer. Give me.
The Lions have rushed for more than 350 yards in every game. Their defense is given up.
Wait, hold up, back up. They've rushed for.
I'm sorry. The Lions have generated more than 350 yards every game.
It's like, holy
Thank you.
Crap.
That'd be pretty good rushing game.
I have Jahmyr Gibbs on 2 of my fantasy teams. That does not match the eye test.
Well, they need him to play, and he didn't play, and they still won, beat up Tampa. And Aaron Glenn's defense, they've had 20 or fewer points for the 4th time this season, and they've scored 20 or more in 15 consecutive games. So they got it going on both sides of the ball.
Okay, so that begs the question, are Dan Campbell's 2 coordinators the hottest 2 head coaching prospects as of right now for the next non-retread, like Frank Reich, Sean Payton, now I'm talking about first-time head coaches. Are Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson?
Ben Johnson, who interviewed with the Texans, said he wanted to go back and get another year of coordinator experience.
Yep.
He'll be a head coach. And then Aaron Glenn got off to a slow start last year, and they were terrible early last year. Then they turned it around, and one reason was because of Aaron Glenn's defense had played so much better. And it's interesting because Aaron's got a little gray in his hair. That kind of makes him look a little wiser. And so I think Dan Campbell's going to learn the price of success. And I think in another year, D'Amico Ryans is going to learn the price of success and lose Bobby Slowick.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of too. But so you think those two Lion coordinators are probably maybe the two hottest head coaching prospects?
And it doesn't matter what retreads are out there.
Okay, yeah. No, that's I'm with you on that. The Lions, you know what? Most of the time when you got these good teams like this, I root against them just because out of jealousy, if nothing else, because the Texans have been so bad the last few years. I can't bring myself to hate the Detroit Lions, mostly because I can relate to the Detroit Lions and their fans from the last couple of years with the Texans. I feel like they're one of our own.
Great story. More and more of their fans are going on the road. I love their blue uniforms, blue and gray. Okay, I got one more here.
Okay,
that is very interesting. Derrick Henry, how he goes, so goes Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill's out with a sprained ankle, will not require surgery. I'm guessing they're going to go with Malik Willis over Will Levis, but it's only a matter of time before they play Levis. And Derrick Henry, when he faced a light box in their game against the Ravens, that's six or fewer, he had a 63-yard run. When he faced a heavy box, 7 or more, he was 11 carries for 34 yards. So common sense tells you when Derrick Henry is on the field, have 7 or 8 players in the box, and you got a really good chance of shutting them down. What you don't want to get is last year when you get low-scoring games with them and Vrabel's defense and their special teams keep those games close, and then they win on like a field goal. Yeah. But, man, they're in bad shape because Tannehill, who hadn't done much anyway, but Derrick Henry now with an offensive line, it's been terrible. It's been totally rebuilt. It's terrible, and it makes you appreciate the Texans even more. All those injuries they've suffered in their offensive line, they haven't complained about it, haven't talked about it, and yet they're still 3-3 and 3-1 in the last 4.
Yeah, that's why, John. That's why I think the Titans are screwed if Tannehill is hurt for any period of time here. Like I think there's a good chance those two Titan games in Week 15 and 17, the Texans are looking at, all due respect to Vrabel, looking at one of the bottom 5 or 6 teams in the NFL. I think the Titans suck.
Well, I think they will be, and I think they'll be playing Will Levis, but I just don't think they'll sweep them. That's why I think they'll go 9-8.
If the Texans are playing for something and they lose to a team quarterbacked by Will Levis in the last month of the season, that's a disaster.
As it will be. Get rid of Nick Caserio. Fine.
You're predicting he should have drafted Levis instead of Stroud. You're predicting disaster, my friend. All right. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below.
Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date on our latest updates. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.